Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Bruff, and I am from the Canvas, North Carolina customer success team. I'm going to be presenting today on crafting high quality feedback with the Speedgrader, Learning Mastery Gradebook, and analytics inside of Canvas. I have linked the slide deck here for anyone who wants to follow along in the slide deck. But first off, hi, I'm glad that everyone is listening to this today from wherever you are. But I'm really excited to jump into things. So we'll go ahead and just get started. So first off, we are going to go over three things today. We're going to explore the Speedgrader, do an introduction to the Learning Mastery Gradebook, and then also I'll introduce new analytics as well. As I get into the slide deck, I am going to turn off my camera just because I'm jumping back and forth between a few screens and want to make sure that I have really good connectivity. Okay. So before we jump into the Speedgrader, I do want to give a plug for the October webinar that goes into detail on outcomes and rubrics. I decided not to go into detail on those two items today since they were recently covered, but using outcomes and rubrics really improves the grading experience in the Speedgrader, and the examples I use will have rubrics attached to the assignments today. So if you didn't have the opportunity to attend that webinar, I have linked it here for you to go back and watch. Okay, so we are going to jump right into Speedgrader. So if you've never heard of Speedgrader before, you've never seen it, Speedgrader is a tool that makes it really easy to evaluate individual student assignments and group assignments quickly, hence the name Speedgrader. Speedgrader displays assignment submissions for active students in your course. However, Speedgrader displays assignment submissions according to the current gradebook settings for inactive enrollments and concluded enrollments as well. For instance, if the gradebook settings shows inactive enrollments, inactive student submissions also appear in Speedgrader. You can access Speedgrader through a variety of ways. You can get there through the assignments, quizzes, graded discussions, or the Gradebook tab. I'll show you a couple of them today. And in Speedgrader, assignment data and student submission data, rubrics, and comments are all shown in one place. This makes it so it's easy for instructors to grade all submissions quickly without continually refreshing the browser or bouncing back and forth between screens or looking at a paper rubric and then your computer screen. It just makes it really simple to do everything in one stop. So I have included a couple of screenshots in the slide deck. You can see that there's a spot where you can view a rubric, add a comment, all sorts of stuff. I've also linked all of the Speedgrader guides as well, but I actually want to hop into my account and show you Speedgrader in person. So we're going to go in. This is just a demo account that we have. So this doesn't actually have real students in there. But so we created this Spanish 1 class, and I have created an assignment called, if I can find it. There we go. I created an assignment called the 300-word paper. So I can get to Speedgrader by clicking on this assignment name, and then you can see over here, Speedgrader right here. We have one submission. 0 of those one submissions are graded. So that's one way that we can hop right into Speedgrader. Or you can also go to grades. And then we can, oh, this is showing a different gradebook view, which we will get into later. So here's the gradebook that you're probably all used to. If we scroll over, we can see that, okay, again, here is the 300-word paper that I want to grade today. If I click on these 3 little dots right here, there's a link for Speedgrader right there as well. Okay, so this pops us right into Speedgrader, which is awesome. So this is Maximilian's assignment. He had to write a 300-word paper. We can see it's a little short, but this is his paper right here. It's awesome because on this side of the screen, I can view my rubrics, I can grade, but I can also see the paper over here. I'm going to slide this over a little bit because I want to, oops, Goodness, goodness. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Let's go back into the Speedgrader. Okay, I want to view my rubric. There we go. So now I'm going to slide this over so I can now view my rubric and the assignment at the same time. So that way I can scroll through, I can be reading the paper or going through the assignment details and also grading at the same time. So this assignment, I've created this rubric that's tied to the outcome, nces.wl.nm, etc. So it's all right here. If I want to view the longer description of what this outcome is, I can click on that and get a little bit more detail just in case I don't remember off the top of my head. And then from there, I can go in and say, okay, you know what? It looks like this assignment meets expectations on this particular criteria. On the second one, if I can't remember, I can pull this up and be like, yes, it looks like this paper does generalize short fiction and nonfiction passages, etc. So I'm going to give that a 5. And maybe this last one's like, he missed the mark on this one. Sorry, Max, does not meet expectations, gives it a 0. Now you can see it automatically went through and graded that for me, which was awesome. So now we can see that he has a score of 8 out of 15. Then I can save it and I can say Max got 8 out of 15. Now I can also scroll down. If I want to give Max comments, I can do that right here in the Speedgrader. And this is the whole point of this presentation, is showing you all the different ways that you can view how your student is doing and then give them feedback. So inside of the Speedgrader, you can give them comments. So I can say, hey, Max, loved X, need to improve Y, etc. So I can give him all sorts of details. I can go through and be like, your second paragraph that states blah, 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 whatever it is awesome because of this. I really like how you tied these things together. Or maybe, hey, I think we're missing the mark just a little bit on this section. Or assignment number 38 isn't quite right because of XYZ inside of the book on page 95. We can see that you can give all sorts of feedback right here, which is so helpful for your students. One reason why we really push feedback is because, especially right now, I mean, a lot of you probably are doing some form of remote or blended learning where you might not be with the students every single day. So they might be at home typing this assignment up when typically they would be inside of a computer lab and you would be walking around helping everyone. They'd be printing off their paper, handing it in. You could take your little highlighter and highlight all the sections and then talk to the student individually about that. In an ideal world, that's what's happening, right? COVID-19 has kind of thrown things around, and we don't always have the luxury of being in person with our students every day. And they're not getting the feedback that they probably typically would if you guys were face-to-face like normal. So this is a really great way to give them the feedback that they need to still be successful, even at home. And if they aren't at home, if you see these little kiddos every single day, it's still awesome for them to get feedback right here inside of Canvas for them to see and for them to say, hey, mom, dad, parent, observer, come check this out. These are the notes my teacher gave me on my assignment. They love stuff like that. So you can put all sorts of assignment comments in right here. You can also, if maybe you had like a handout for the assignment that you want to attach, and maybe they missed the mark on a few things, like, hey, I need to remind them of X, Y, and Z from the handout, you can attach a file right here. Or we can also do a media comment. So you can, there's me, record a little video. You can change your mics, of course. And if you want to turn your webcam off, then you can say, hey, no webcam. I just want to do a little recording this way. I can also upload media. So if I've already recorded some sort of audio or video file, I can upload them, selecting these right here. And then my students can actually hear my voice or see my face, which is really, really great. And then this last option is a text to speech. So you could click the record and start talking, and the box will automatically fill with whatever you say, which is awesome. So we'll cancel that. And then from there, you can click submit. Now, if a student submitted any student submissions, or sorry, student comments, right down here, I'm going to make my voice go away so we can hear this. You can see that little blue link when I'm not talking. There's a spot for you to download submission comments. If a student, when they submitted this paper or their assignment, said, hey, Miss Ashley, I'm a little confused on question number 15. In the book, it says this, but your question is worded this way, and it makes me think the answer could be X, but it might also be Z. You know, they can provide those submission comments. You can go in and see all of their comments there. And then again, you can submit your comments, and you can say your comment has been submitted. And now kind of the fun part that I really like is if we click over here, we can actually, let me move that, get out of our way. I can annotate this whole page, which is awesome. So I can come in here and I can say, hey, I want to actually add a note right here. Say, here is my comment. And then I can, and if you hover, you can kind of see what they do. With this one, I can change the color. I maybe want to highlight this in, actually, let's pick blue. I want to highlight the word blue. And then again, if I want to make a comment, I can say, I also love the color blue. You can also add a text box in here as well and add more comments and change the size. So if you're like, oh, I actually don't want to do that, then I can say, nope, just kidding. Cancel the text box. I can do a strike through. So if I'm like, hey, this last sentence isn't necessary, then I can strike that through and say, I think this sentence should be removed because of X, Y, and Z. And that's even more awesome feedback that you can give these students. And that way you don't need to even touch a piece of paper, which is also awesome, right? They can hand in everything online and you can edit everything like you would in person online. That's fantastic. And then we also do have the paintbrush. You can change the thickness of the lines that you paint, and again, change the colors and do all sorts of fun things just like that. And then again, add more comments, which is awesome. You can also highlight whole things and add more comments. If you're like, hey, I want to box this whole section up and say, great paragraph. I can do that as well. And then if I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do something, we can click back on our little cursor and then click on this and say, I'm going to delete this. Again, you can delete all of this, which is awesome. You can zoom in, you can zoom out if you want to, all sorts of stuff. And then you can also download this. So if you want to download this and email it or print it or save it, you can. It'll just download the annotated PDF. What's awesome is we can also easily from the Speedgrader move from student to student. So this is Max's assignment. If we drop down, we can see there's a little check mark next to Max, and there's nothing else next to anyone else. If let's say Jane or Natalie had submitted their assignment and it needed to be graded, a little orange circle would show up there. But because they haven't submitted anything, there's nothing there. And we can even actually quickly just move from student to student, and it will show us that Bill doesn't have a submission for this assignment. Now, if we go back over here, we can click on this cog and see that we do have a few options to look at. Inside of Speedgrader, you can sort the student list by 3 different options if you want. Or you could also hide student names in the Speedgrader as well. So if you don't want to have any bias and you want to hide those names, you can just click and then save your settings there. And then we also have the eye, which will hide your grades if you want to hide grades. And then this icon right here actually takes us right back into the gradebook, which is great. And now we can scroll over and we can see that Max no longer has the paper icon telling me I need to grade this. It now shows Max's score and shows that no one else has a score for this assignment yet. Okay, so if we go back over here into the presentation, I have included a few more screenshots for you guys as well. Just for your information, the Speedgrader is available for PDF, Word, PowerPoint, and Google Doc submissions. However, the Google Assignments LTI 1.3 does not currently work with Speedgrader. That feature is coming, but is not here yet. So we're hoping for this fall. It hasn't happened yet. So hoping sometime this spring to have the Speedgrader work with Google Assignments LTI 1.3. Okay, and then again, you can see the doc viewer side, an example of giving rich feedback. So again, this is an example of the student saying, hey, I'm not sure on question number 38. And then the teacher saying, hey, Denise, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Here's some more information. Here's some great feedback. This is awesome. If a student submits a paper and then adds a comment, they're usually adding comments because they might want some sort of communication back from their teacher. So I think it's really, really great to respond to them, especially when they already threw a comment in there. So, okay, so that is the Speedgrader. It's going to quickly be one of your favorite tools inside of Canvas, if it's not already. So now we're going to move on to the Learning Mastery Gradebook. So we'll hop into the course and show you that as well. I have linked all of the guides for the Learning Mastery Gradebook. But the Learning Mastery Gradebook, it's a full class gradebook view that's a great way to get a snapshot of where the students are at in terms of mastery of the content within your course. Most often, people are using outcomes that have been imported from academic benchmarks by their institution, and this does come in reporting as highest score. So just kind of some FYI for you there. So you can also, in this image here, you can see the course average at the top, which helps when you're planning on reteaching any content. So let's actually go ahead and let's hop back in there. And I'm going to show you how to get to the Learning Mastery Gradebook. So you can see I'm here just at our regular gradebook. And if I come over to this little drop down right here, the very top one says Learning Mastery ... That is your Learning Mastery Gradebook. And it might take a second to open up, especially depending on how many outcomes you have in your course. So, but now that we're in here, you can see that course average at the top. And then as you highlight over the outcome, you can see a breakdown of the course in terms of their performance with that standard. And then you can also filter and just show students and their individual views as well. So if I want to look at just Max, I can click on Max and see all sorts of stuff. We'll go into that in just a little bit. There's also a little key over here. So if you want to look at everyone who is at mastery, then I might want to uncheck some of those other colors. Or if I want to take mastery off and see areas of improvement, I can do that. And then I can come in here and say, okay, it looks like there's a few random things, but most of the class is struggling on outcome NCES.WL.NL, etc. So you can see that this might be an area that might need to be retaught. So maybe that means another assignment needs to be created, some more information presented to the students. It could be a variety of stuff, however you reteach things, but that's really helpful to know that, hey, this class average is actually pretty low. And this is an area for improvement for sure. So we'll pull that back up. You can also hide outcomes with no results if you want to hide those as well, and hide students with no results too. And then of course you can export this as a report if you'd like. So now we'll go back in, let's click on Max. So if I click on Max, I can get this fun little snapshot over here. I can see all of his grades. He's currently at a 43.57% for the course. He has 3 missing assignments, 3 late assignments, his last 10 graded items, and then you can see his activity compared to everyone else. So you can see Max's participation is high and his page views are high. So Max is probably putting in the effort. but his grade's pretty low. So that is a really awesome way to know, okay, I might need to help Max out a little bit more. I need to give Max a little more feedback on a few different items probably. There's definitely some room for improvement. You can dig in, find out what's going on, where the disconnect is, and really help him out. So while we're in here, we can go ahead and click on grades too. I just want to show you this view. So you can go in and you can see all of the grades. He's got a few things that are graded, a few things missing, a few things late. You can change this either to assignment group, due date, module, or title as well, whatever view works for you guys. And then we can also click on Learning Mastery. And again, this page will take a little bit of time to load depending on how many outcomes you have tied to your course. So just keep that in mind. But then we can go through and we can say, okay, these are all of the outcomes in this course. We can go and see which one or ones of these he has mastered. So because this is a demo course, there's not a lot of super great information. So for this example, I have to scroll down quite a ways before I find any areas of mastery. Okay, so we scrolled down far enough, we found one. So right here, we can see that 3 of 3 items have been mastered for this outcome. Use the language to engage in interpersonal communication. So we can click on this drop down and we can see that there are 2 alignments with this outcome right here. And you can even drop that down a little bit more and say, okay, looks like we gave a quiz and then there was an assignment and he got 5 out of 5, mastered both of those, which is awesome. For other outcomes, let's make that go away. I can see these other 2 alignments. Looks like we had 2 assignments here. Again, 5 out of 5, awesome. This next one, it looks like he has 3 out of the 5 alignments mastered. Oops. Click on that drop down and you say, okay, he's got 3 there, 3 there. So maybe, meets expectations, but doesn't exceed, maybe an opportunity for improvement. How do I help Max? What kind of feedback can I give to Max to help him improve? So this is just one other place to go in and see his performance based off of outcomes. Okay, so now we'll scroll back up to the top. And again, this is super flexible, super customizable. However you view this is awesome. Now, the next thing that I want to show is new analytics. So we're going to go back to the slide deck and talk about these just a little bit. New analytics. So we call it new analytics because we used to have old analytics. It's now basically everything is new analytics. New analytics, while it is newish, it is available to everyone, but some teachers might need to turn it on in your course feature option settings. Depending on the institution, some institutions force it on for everyone, and some institutions give teachers the opportunity to turn it on or turn it off if they want. This is something that I highly, highly recommend you turn on. I'm going to show you how to turn it on, just to make sure that you know where to go. So inside of my course, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go to my settings. And then you can see typically it shows you course details. But if you move right over here to the right side and click on feature options, new course and user analytics, for me, I've already turned it on, is right here. But if yours is toggled to the left, like the Canvas Elementary theming is in the course, then you could just move that right over to the right side and it's going to turn on your analytics. Again, I definitely recommend you do this. I've included a link to the new analytics guides. I am going to go through everything with you, but just know I have a lot of this information that I'm going to talk about inside the slide deck here as well, going over what teachers can see, and then a bunch of links to different monitoring and usage reporting, all sorts of reporting links that are going to be really helpful for you guys as you're going through and analyzing how your class is doing as a whole and also how individuals are doing and how you can use these reports to help improve the students and their mastery levels. So let's go back in. I'm going to click on new analytics. You can click on that right there and get into new analytics, or And you can see this is going to be new analytics for the whole course. I can also, if I go to the people tab, there's lots of ways to get here. You can even get here through the new mastery gradebook. I could go in, I can click on max. And then again, there's this little new analytics button, and it's going to show me Max's analytics specifically. So lots of ways to do this. I'm going to go back in and just go to the whole class view. So once you open up new analytics, the first thing you're going to see is the average course grade, which right now is a 60.94%. Unfortunately, my students are failing Spanish 1, and I probably need to rethink what I'm doing, right? So if we scroll down right here, we can see we're looking at the course grade of both assignments and quizzes. If I only want to look at one, I can just uncheck quizzes and see just assignments, or I can click quizzes, uncheck assignments, and just view quizzes. So you do have some options there. And then down here at the bottom, you can see that I have the quiz icon and the assignment icon, so I can know what is what really easily. So for example, we can see that, okay, this assignment that is tied to outcome nces.wl.nl.cod.3.3. I can go in and click on that and see how everyone is doing. It looks like the average grade for this is 125%. There's no missing assignments, no late assignments. That's awesome. From there, you can always message students who, so let's say that if this was something, actually, maybe let's pick a different one so I can show you. Let's pick this question bank outcomes alignment quiz. Yep. I can message students who maybe scored between 0 to 70%. And you can see that it's automatically changed it to 4 students. If we go to 100, it will show 6. If I go to 0, it will show 0. So whatever percentage you want to put in there, 50% shows 1 student. Keep in mind, this is BCC in them. So if we do, for some reason, let's say we do 75% and it's going to email 4 students, they're all BCC'd. If I'm one of those students, I do not know who the other 3 are. Again, BCC'd, so it's safe. But I can go in and message these students who range from 0 to 75, give them a subject line of, hey, maybe we're going to give you an opportunity for some makeup work, some extra credit. Maybe I'm going to let them retake this quiz, all sorts of stuff. It can be whatever I want, but I can send this message specifically to these 4 students in relation to the question bank / outcomes assignment quiz. I can also message anyone who submitted who hasn't submitted the assignment, so they're missing. So it looks like 5 students are missing this assignment. Or if there were any late submissions, which we don't have any, but if there were, they'd show up as the number of students. I could send them a message. And what you can do if you're like, okay, who are those 5 students? I can come in here, exit that, make this a better view, and see, okay, these are my 5 students who are missing this assignment. And I can remind them that, hey guys, you're missing this assignment. So this is just a really great way to see things and then message everyone. So that was the course grade. We can also, if we want to compare students, let's say I want to compare Jane with everyone else. Jane is now going to be showing up in green, and I can see how Jane is doing with all of these outcomes. So you can say this one, she scored way below the class average. But on this new quizzes demo, she scored way above the class average. So you can always add people in here. I can add Christy in there. You can see if I try to click one more, it says you've reached the maximum number of items. So I can only compare 2 at a time. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're like, hey, I want to compare everyone, well, you can't. You can only do 2 students at a time with, of course, the whole section. Now, we can also look at your weekly online activity. And again, if I want to see how Guy's doing, I can add Guy in here, and you can see that the blue graph is everyone, or the blue line is everyone, the green line is Guy. But I can go in here and just see, okay, on the 4th, nobody did anything. Was that a holiday? Was that a weekend? Why was that the case? But on the 18th, you can see that we did have participation. So we had, if I could hover over this, 1.7 average participations and 10 total. So as well as your number of page views. So you can get all sorts of data here. And then if we go down here, we can see the actual resources that your students are looking at. So we can see that for Studio 2 assignment, only 2 students looked at this, but there are 6 page views and 2 participations. So each of those students possibly looked at that 3 different times. So that's just really helpful to know, okay, what are people looking at? What are they not looking at? And there could be multiple pages depending on how big your course is. So that's something else to keep in mind. But again, with the online activity, we also have the message students who, and this one is based off of participation, which I love. So if we want to go in and say, hey, I want to message students who didn't view, and then it's going to pull a list of things that students didn't view, the course modules. There are 5 students who didn't view the course modules. Maybe I'm going to take Christy off of there because I'm working with her separately and she doesn't need to view that. So you can customize this, of course, say course modules and send them a message and say, hey guys, I saw that you did the assignment, 9.3, but you didn't view the module for chapter 9. So why are they doing the assignments if they haven't gone through the material yet, right? So send them that message, or I can message people who did participate. And again, all resources or whatever one I want to pick, which is awesome. Give some of these kids some kudos, because while I think we often think about the students who are struggling, we still need to be paying attention to those students who are doing a great job. They need to be recognized. People want a pat on the back. And then we also have the option of, so viewed, didn't view, participated, and didn't participate as well. It's also going to tell you when the time range is for this. So that's not customizable. That's just there by default. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Now we can also look at students. So if I want to look at each student individually, I can come in and see that Jane, wow, Jane's got a 98% in my class. She's doing great, but only 67% of her assignments and things are on time. So she's doing really well, but I'm wondering why, more things aren't on time. That might give you an opportunity for discussion and feedback with Jane. And then we can also see the last participation, the last page view as well, how many page views. So again, remember how earlier I mentioned that compared to the rest of the class, Max had awesome engagement. He's got lots of page views, lots of participation, but is really struggling. This is an awesome opportunity to maybe really help Max. But then we can also see that Jane has really low page views. How is she doing so well when she's not looking at anything? Maybe Jane needs to be pushed a little bit harder. Maybe she needs to be in Spanish 2 instead of Spanish 1, because she's obviously doing well in the class, but is not putting in as much work as one would expect. So I love this, that it just gives you the snapshot of what are my students doing? Are they actually working in the course? When were they last in here? I mean, Bill hasn't been in my course since 2019. So where is he at? So this is just an awesome snapshot. And again, you do have the opportunity to message people from there as well. And then my favorite part of new analytics is the report section. This is new, as you can see. It's something that we released this fall, and I love it. But you can come in and you can run reports for missing assignments, late assignments, excused assignments, class roster, and course activity as well. It will just download them as a CSV file. If you're not familiar with the CSV file, it's really similar to just an Excel spreadsheet. So this is another awesome way to get more data to help your students out. And if you're wondering, hey, what does the missing assignment CSV look like? If you just click on this little information icon, it will tell you that this report will produce a list of assignments that have not been submitted yet. So it'll give you their student name, ID number, the course ID, section, assignment, points possible, due date, and the unlocked date as well. So lots and lots of information here for new analytics. And again, if we go back to the slide deck, I have gone over what people or what teachers can see, as well as linked a whole bunch of other resources that go into the analytics guides, the course access report, student interactions, all sorts of reports and guides to help you monitor how your students are doing. Are they inside of Canvas? Are they looking at your courses? Are they participating? So all of these guides are going to be very helpful. And if you even just take and say, you go to Canvas community and you type in, how do I view a quiz log for a student? While I have locked things here, you can also just go into community, which is community.canvaslms.com, and find all of the guides in here as well. Okay, and that is new analytics as well. I hope that through Speedgrader, Learning Master Your Gradebook, and analytics that you're able to really get a feel for how your students are doing and be able to really give them the feedback that they need to be successful. So thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.